Welcome back to the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show. I'm Jordan Ham alongside Haley Stasiak. We are in what we are calling week -1 and have a jam-packed show for you. We're about to talk to Justin Spears from the Arizona Daily Star and ESPN Tucson. He just took over the Sports Exchange. That's 3 to 6 on ESPN Tucson. Justin, first off, congratulations. So what's your life look right now? It sounds like it's pretty crazy with show 3 underway later this afternoon.
Yeah, it's just been such a whirlwind. I'm just glad to be on the radio. It's something I've always wanted to do. But, yeah, I wake up in the morning, I go see some Arizona Wildcats football practice, then I prep for the show, then I do the show, and then I get back home and work on some high school football coverage. So it's just a nonstop workflow, but I'm just really excited for the opportunity.
We're just over a week and a half away from the high school football getting started with week 0 approaching. What is your general impression of these Tucson schools as we get into the season now?
Well, probably the biggest storyline for Southern Arizona high school football is down in Vail with the Cienega Bobcats. Who's going to replace Jamari Joyner? Just from talking with head coaches around the city, Jamari was a once-in-a-20-year talent. Not too many players come around Tucson like that. So how will the Bobcats replace him? Currently, the starter is Luis Morales, who is a pretty athletic guy. He's a smart quarterback. Obviously, he's not Jamari Joyner, but he's going to have some big shoes to fill. So down there in Cienega, seeing how the quarterback situation pans out, that should be pretty fun. And then going across town with South Point Catholic, of course, Bijan Robinson, the 5-star running back, who's just been getting offers left and right in the offseason. He picked up an offer from Alabama, went on a visit to USC, picked up several other big-time offers in Oklahoma and Nebraska. And then his teammate, Lathan Ransom, who is going to be a junior and is part of the 2020 class, he picked up an offer from Georgia. SEC offers don't usually come around Tucson a lot. And so those right there have pretty much been the big storylines. And just probably my last little nugget here is Trenton Bourget, the quarterback from Marana. He's very undersized, but he's smart and really fling the ball. And he told me the other day that he's really going for the state record for most passing yards in a season and in a career. I don't know where he's at career-wise, but last season he finished 16 yards shy of 3,000 yards, which is ridiculous. So those schools right there, Marana, South Point, Cienega, are going to be your top 3 schools to keep your eyes open for, and it should be an exciting high school football season.
You mentioned Cienega. They have, I feel like, one of the more underrated players in the entire state in Terrell Hayward. He's been a guy that has done it on both sides of the ball for quite a few years now. Just what do you anticipate how his role will change as he becomes a senior?
Yeah, so head coach Pat Nugent told me a few weeks ago that his role on offense hasn't changed at all. He's a receiver. He could line up at running back at times. He's just such a versatile player. But on defense, last season, Nugent felt like he didn't get that much film as a corner. And when he goes and plays college football somewhere, he's going to play as a defensive back. And there wasn't that much film on Terrell Hayward as a corner because he took up one side of the field. No quarterback even bothered to throw to his side of the field. It was like Darrelle Revis, the Revis Islands. He was just completely isolated. Nobody wanted any part of Terrell Hayward. So Nugent, wanting to have his best playmakers constantly making plays, he moved Terrell Hayward over to the safety position. So he's going to be lined up more inside, and he's going to be covering the field a lot more. And he expect to see him have a pretty impactful year for the Bobcats.
I made it out to South Point in the spring, and one of the things that stood out to me was their quarterback situation. Have you heard anything about what's developing at that position for the Lancers?
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out their quarterback situation right now. They have 2 guys in mind. They actually had one player just recently transfer over to Tucson High. There's been a sophomore. I'm really blanking on his name right now, but there's been a young guy that they have in mind. But at South Point, you even look at their season last year, their passing game wasn't really that effective. When you have a player like Bijan Robinson, where you can just hand him the ball and watch him create magic,
Right.
you don't really need a great quarterback. So I don't know what South Point's quarterback situation is going to look like, but when you have a player like I said, Bijan Robinson, and plus Mario Padilla, who is a running back / slot receiver, I believe Richard Obert from the Republic or AZ Central rated Bijan and Mario as the #1 duo in the state of Arizona, which really speaks highly of what they can do. So, I mean, those two playmakers right there, I really don't think you need a quarterback. But, again, if you want to make a run at a state championship, you have to have good quarterback play. And that definitely showed last year when they lost to Scottsdale Saguaro.
One of those other schools you mentioned was Marana. You mentioned Trenton Bourget. What can you tell us about Jordan Morgan?
Oh, man. He is a quiet guy, very low-key. And the first-year head coach, Louis Ramirez, told me the biggest reason why Jordan Morgan that has not received any offers outside of NAU and Arizona is simply because of social media. He doesn't have Twitter. He doesn't have Facebook. He doesn't have Instagram. He's just completely old school, off the grid for social media.
Mm-hmm.
So his exposure didn't really get out there. But I finally saw him up close and in person a few weeks ago, and he's 6'5", 275 pounds, and he has a wide frame, but he's really athletic. He's really light on his feet. And if you go back and look at his film, you really see that right there. And if Trenton Bourget is going to have the season that he wants to have, you got to have protection. And Jordan Morgan, right there, anchoring the right tackle spot, he should give Bourget that right protection. And he's probably Tucson's best-kept secret right now.
Interesting.
And by season end, I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up another Pac-12 offer or even maybe another Mountain West offer or something like that. But, yeah, he's just a great guy to talk to and an even better football player.
On the topic of best-kept secrets, we've talked about the big dogs in southern Arizona when it comes to high school football. Who's a program that is kind of under the radar going into this season that could make some noise?
Ooh, that is a really tough question, but I'm going to go ahead and say probably Pueblo. Pueblo lost to South Point Catholic during the playoffs last year, but they have 3 great players, one of them being Ruben Rivera, Jose Lugo, and they have a defensive tackle who's really athletic and can actually make some plays. Their head coach, Brandon Sanders, used to play at Arizona, was a part of the Desert Storm defense from the early 90s. He's really changed this program around down in southern Arizona. Pueblo has not been relevant in quite some time. And over the last couple of years, developing these players and turning them into, just top-notch athletes, you're going to start to see the trend of Pueblo becoming more relevant and actually making runs in the playoffs here pretty soon.
As you look at the schedules for the Tucson schools for the 2018 season, is there a matchup that sticks out to you that you're looking forward to most?
I always love out-of-state matchups. South Point, week 3, I believe it is. I'll have to double-check, but they play against Del Valle High School from El Paso, Texas, a school that had a solid run in the playoffs last season. I believe they either went to the quarterfinals or semifinals. But they had a great record. And when you go, I believe their record was like maybe 11-2 or 10-3, something like that. If you have a record like that in the state of Texas, I think you're pretty good. So South Point, they played those guys week 3, and seeing Tucson, arguably Tucson's best program, going up against a Texas school, I think that should be a great matchup. And plus, Cienega hosts Marana. The season opener last year was a shootout. It went into double overtime, or no, just regular overtime. with Cienega winning 57-56. So it was a shootout. But they go to Cienega this season, and Trent Bourget told me that that's one of the biggest games that they have circled on the calendar right there because they want to get revenge on Cienega.
Few are tapped in down in southern Arizona, quite like you, Justin. Thanks for the time.
Good luck with everything.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. That's Justin Spears of the Arizona Daily Star, ESPN Tucson, the Sports Exchange, 3 to 6 every day. I actually follow ESPN Tucson on Facebook, so it's really easy to stream their stuff, and he has done a great job here early on, first as a guest and now as a host. So in terms of what Justin has said, what really jumped out to you? What was most noteworthy to you?
Honestly, I think it's interesting his note about South Point not necessarily needing the quarterback to rely on. I think that's a valid point. I mean, you've got Bijan Robinson, who is only going to be a junior, and he put up unreal numbers in his sophomore season, got quite a few reps in his freshman season. So really, yeah, I agree with him. It's not a huge issue that issue or that position hasn't been completely settled for South Point yet.
And when you think of a Dennis Benet offense, usually you think about the running backs first.
Right.
So obviously if you can have a playmaker at the quarterback position, that opens up even more, especially if you're trying to go up against a Saguaro in 4A or some other really good programs in 4A. But yeah, I don't think it's any secret what South Point's going to do.
Definitely. And again, with Jordan Morgan, I brought up that question, and I saw Jordan Morgan in person as well, and I'm 5'8", and I felt like 5'2", standing next to him. So, and he's a quiet guy, and I can definitely see where he just is old school and keeps it like that.
Yeah, and most of when he did commit to Arizona, it was Luis Ramirez that was putting the social media out on
and
that.
They're all over social media down there.
Yeah.
The Marana football team. Yeah. Follow them on social. They've got some good stuff.
So good stuff from Justin Spears. Coming up, we have Chaparral head coach Brent Barnes. They have quite a bit of talent for the Firebirds this upcoming year. That's coming up on the Friday night 360 AZ preview show.